Hey guys, this is Evelyn. Welcome back to the It's a Diaz Thing Podcast. Today, I have a reflection for you. Honestly, it's more of an epiphany, but I've been sharing it with multiple people, and obviously I shared it with Janet, and I was like, this will have to become an episode on the podcast because I really just want to share everything I've learned with you guys. And since I was very young, I've always learned through stories, analogies, to just understand the concept. That was a tool that teachers, my parents, literally everybody used so that I could understand. And it is crazy because obviously God knows that, but it's crazy how God uses your learning style to reach you. And that is exactly what happened to me one day at the lake. So without further ado, let's get on with our story. Also, I just want to start off by saying that Matthew is my boyfriend, so I reference him a lot during this story. So if I say Matthew, you know who he is. Also, this was not my first time jet skiing. This was probably, that was probably like my fourth or fifth time jet skiing. But every single time I get on a jet ski for the first time in a while, it's like the very first time. And so I do panic a little bit, but I promise you this was not my first time. And with that said, Matthew had been wanting to take out the jet skis for a while to kind of close off the summer because fall was already upon us. So yes, the water was kind of chilly, but the day was actually really nice for jet skiing. And we went along with our two other friends. So there's a couple of things that happened throughout that are important to note. One of them being that right away I noticed that there's a ton of waves. This was definitely a new lake. We had not jet skied here before, and for some reason there seemed to be a lot more waves than I remembered. I quickly grabbed onto Matthew's life jacket. The life jacket has this little buckle that you can hold onto if you're in the back. I definitely held onto that really tightly because I was scared for my dear life. I just did not want to fall into that cold water. I just kept looking forward and there was a ton of waves. Soon enough, we came across this really nice, smooth sailing area where there was no waves in sight. I mean, there was the tiny ones, but not the big ones that we had encountered at first. And I started to open my eyes, look around, take in the scenery. For those of you guys who have not been to Tennessee, it is gorgeous. I was really liking it. I was really feeling myself, really confident in myself. So I let go of his buckles on his life jacket, just for a split second because I was just really taking in the scenery. Well, then out of nowhere, there's these like waves that approach us, that slam into us. And so I'm like struggling to get a hold of his buckle again, of the straps. And eventually I hold on again, literally clenching my fists to the point where I have nail marks on the palm of my hand. Immediately, because I learned from experience, I say I am never letting go of his vest ever again. It does not matter if there are waves or no waves, I'm holding on. So that thing happened. And then another thing happened where we came across this zone. Apparently, I don't know if a boat had passed by and had made some waves, but we came across this area where there was a ton of waves and Matthew was struggling to get us out of there. And so we kept getting splashed in the face over and over again. So it made it really hard for us to actually get out of that. I just kept remembering how annoyed I was because I'm like, Matthew, can you not see that there's water being splashed in my face? Please get us out of here. And I'm like, I am so over this. And poor Matthew was trying his best to get us out of there. But I didn't realize was that he was also getting splashed in the face, and he was getting splashed a lot more than I was. I did not realize that. And later on, I had a little bit more sympathy towards him. And yes, eventually we got out of there. Thank you, Matthew, and thank you, Jesus. Last thing that I want to say that happened, I decided that I could take control of the jet ski and drive it. Another side note is that I have driven jet skis before. I will say that I have gotten really confident in them, but for some reason we had a new jet ski. It was also a different lake, and I decided that it was no biggie, that I could do it too. If Matthew could do it, I could do it too. I got on the front and Matthew was trying to explain to me how to do things and how to control things, and it was just kind of overwhelming, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, okay, I'll do it, and quickly I realized I cannot do it. I was like, no, I cannot. Sorry, Matthew, you're back in the front, please, because I'd rather you drive than me drive and get us stuck somewhere or get us kicked out into the water. Overall, though, we had a lot of fun. Matthew did some donuts with me on his back, or on the back, not on his back, like on the back of the jet ski. And it was a really fun time with all of our friends. And let me just say that I had no trouble trusting that Matthew would take care of me, because I trusted him fully than I have ever in my life. So here's a good part. Life lesson number 1. Life is full of waves. It is not always smooth sailing. For some reason, I always thought that life was eventually going to get easy. I always told myself, well, one day I will know how to do everything right and I will not have problems. Or I may have problems, but they're not going to be as big as the ones today. I'll be happy. I'll have a happy life, and life is always smooth sailing. And I would look up to certain people. I would say, you handled that situation really well. Or like, wow, your problem wasn't even that big. I wish I had that problem. Or wow, you really are happy and have a great life. Just like the lake, life also has waves. I think that there are some people who know how to deal with their situations privately, know how to deal with their situation. That may be due to like personality, prior experience. There are problems. What we see on our social media is not always correct. Is not always reality, is what I want to say. And I would believe everything that was posted on social media and really thought people always had a great life and never had problems. That couldn't be further from the truth. So that is life lesson number 1. Life lesson number 2, never loosen your grip on Jesus. God is our ultimate life jacket. I think you know or see where the correlation is, but just how I loosened my grip on Matthew, because there was not a lot of waves. It was not crazy. It seemed like we were in a good spot. I decided I could loosen my grip a little bit. And I tend to do that, okay? In real life, here I am exposing myself again. In real life, I tend to let go of God when things are going great. But whenever I need him, when the waves come crashing back up again, I start to I scurry and I try to find his buckle again. I try to find God again, and that shouldn't be the case. I heard the saying once, the word should not be cake for special occasions. It should be our daily bread, something that we go to every single day. And so this is something that God has been trying to tell me, like, read your Bible every day, have that connection, that relationship with me every day. Don't just use me for those times when waves come crashing in, but instead, always hold on. Life lesson number 3, be thankful, because God is taking the brunt of the waves. It's so much better with God in the front than without God. I should have been thankful that Matthew was taking the brunt of the waves, but instead I was complaining. And I do the same thing with God. I tend to look at the negative. I tend to sometimes blame him and say, wow, why is this happening? Why am I still getting splashed over here? If we only knew, if God could just open our eyes, let us see how much God is truly holding back. He's really protecting us, and sometimes we don't even see it. And we just have to trust that he will get us out of that pit, get us out of the rut, get us out of wherever we're at. Know that if some wave, some water splashes in your face, it is okay. It is okay, because God is taking most of it. So that's a little harder to hear, I think. And that's also a whole other message, because this is a lot deeper. It's really hard to be okay with what's happening. Not okay, but just accepting the reality of situations sometimes, because it seems though that God's not listening or that God has abandoned you. And that's definitely not the case. God is really out there fighting battles that we don't even see. So I'll just leave it there, because we could get onto a whole other talk, a whole other episode. But let's move on to our 4th. I only have 5 life lessons, by the way. So let's move on to our 4th life lesson. And it says, be humble enough to let God take control. We feel like we're going to be safer when we're in control, but in reality, when the waves come crashing in, we lose control. And I'm referring to the time when I was trying to take control over the jet skis and thinking, well, I've done this before. I have enough experience for this. And then it gets kind of complicated. And then I realize I really can't take control. And how many times have we done that with God? We've said, hey, this is my life. I can control my life. And we think that with our little itty bitty human experiences that we are experts in controlling our life, when in reality, we really are not. And I don't know about you, but I'm just really glad to have a God who knows how to take control in every aspect of our life in every context possible. Just like Matthew knows what to do when there's an emergency. He knows what to do when waves come crashing in. We also have to trust God that he knows what he's doing. I have never ever trusted Matthew as much as the times when we go jet skiing. That kind of leads us into our fifth life lesson. It says, Jesus is your lifeline. Put all your trust in him. If we can trust a human so easily, why not trust God, who has the ultimate power to take care of us? We trust pilots. We trust other human beings to take care of us, to come save us from a situation. So why can't we trust God the same way? And some may say that, well, he's kind of invisible. We can't really see him. For me, what really makes him visible is reminding myself of everything that he's done for me. There are times when I feel like I do see God and his power working or his will being done. And those are the times when he has become more visible to me. And again, these are deep topics that we definitely don't have the time for right now. But I encourage you to go and discover what this means, discover how God can be visible to you, discover how Jesus can be your lifeline, how to be humble enough to let God take control, how to be thankful because God is taking the brunt of the waves, how to always hold on to God and never loosen your grip. And to wrap this up, those are my 5 life lessons from the day at the lake. I really hope that you feel encouraged by this. I will also be adding this to our Instagram at It's a Diaz Thing Podcast. So if you're not following us, make sure to do so. I think that these are great reminders for us to keep in our mind as we go throughout our day. I also hope that God was able to talk to you through today's reflection. Anyways, I will talk to you guys later, and thanks for joining us here on It's a Diaz Thing.